Hello everybody and welcome to Toitū2U Curator's Corner. With our present lockdown constraints continuing, here's another bite-sized take on early Dunedin history from Toitū's historic photograph collection. All the images are available if you want a copy. Just check the description for details of that process and the cost. Today we're going to consider the block of Princes Street from Moray Place to the Octagon, and mainly the western side of the street. Like the other section of the street that we looked at in the previous couple of episodes, this area saw a lot of change in the 1860s. But in this case, it was a devastating fire in 1867 that prompted a total rebuild. Let's start with this photo, an image I've used in earlier Curator's Corners. It's a fabulous view that really shows the raw topography of this central city area as the pioneers gradually imposed their buildings on top of the flax-covered gullies that were its primeval state. Look at the crops under cultivation on the hillside, and those steps cut into the bank where Moray Place has been carved into the base of the hill. This photograph is probably from late 1862, based on the businesses whose signage we can see. The Criterion Hotel, the Theatre Royal, Patterson and McLeod, wine merchants, the Million House, a home decorating store, and Herbert Haynes and Hay drapers all commenced operations during 1862. It could be December when newspaper advertisements revealed that there was some building work going on at the hotel on the corner. Notice all the ladders. And also they had some iron tanks for sale there. That could be what we see lying in the street. Now let's jump to January 1865 and this section of a panorama of central Dunedin taken from atop Bedford House by the photographer William Mellish. Let's just note for now the huge amount of development around Moray Place and along Princes Street in the 2 years since the previous view had been taken. But most of the buildings we can see here were completely obliterated by a devastating fire that swept along Princes Street just before midnight on the 1st of April 1867, one of the worst conflagrations experienced in Dunedin to that point. The fire started in an ironmonger store near the Octagon end of Princes Street and swept right along the block towards the Criterion Hotel, destroying everything in its wake. It also jumped across to the eastern side of Princes Street with the same impact there, as we can see in this photograph of the aftermath. All Dunedin's Volunteer Fire Brigade could do was set up a defensive line across Moray Place and try and contain the spread there. But they were at least successful in that, preventing a jump across that break that would have caused even more devastation, with nothing really to stop the progress of the flames all the way down to Rattray Street. Such was the danger of a largely wooden township where open fires and kerosene lamps posed a constant menace. And what a scene of devastation it is. But there was nothing for it but to start over, and so they did, but this time in more permanent materials. This image shows the rebuilt Criterion Hotel and Frederick Tofield's jewellery store, both re-erected in brick and stone on the same sites they had occupied before the fire. Plans for the new hotel were actually ready within a month of the fire, and work on it was underway by the end of June. Tofield and many of the businesses on his side of the street were actually back in new premises by the end of August. By September, the roof was on the Criterion Hotel, and its reopening was marked with a dinner on the 7th of November 1862, just 6 months after the fire. Thank goodness for insurance. And now, just to wrap up, let's jump to the 1920s, and this more familiar streetscape for the western side of this block of Princes Street. Amazingly, I think every one of these buildings is still there 100 years later.